Well, hi. Welcome to Sip and Stretch. I'm Maggie. I will guide you through this nice little 10-minute routine that's designed to get all of the basic moving parts of your body going for the day. Probably the most important part of the routine, yoga mat, hot or cold beverage of your choice. Please place that beverage on the upper right-hand corner of your mat. And we're going to get started. We're going to come into all fours. So let's place those hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're going to place good pressure through that index finger and thumb, pushing your feet into the mat. I want us to take a breath in. We're going to round through the back, so get some nice gentle flexion through all parts of your spine. And now we're going to extend, so coming through nice and slow, easing into our day. Good. Obviously working with your breath, so as you breathe in, you're going to expand. As you breathe out, we're going to extend. Good. One more. We're doing 3. Okay. Now, let's place those hands nice and even up into your mat. We're going to come up onto the toes into a downward dog. Yes, that's a yoga word, but we're going to steal it for now. We're going to think about letting those tailbones come up to the ceiling. Moving through those heels, you can do what's called a walk your dog, so gently placing the heels back and forth, trying to get a bit more of a calf stretch. Squeezing those shoulder blades together, not up. Together towards your spine to get a nice little stretch through the lats. Breath in, good. Now let's extend that right leg up. Good. A little extra stretch through that left hamstring and bring the right foot in between those hands, conveniently located to the hot beverage. Good. Take a sip. Coming into a psoas stretch. So, knee is still on the ground, feet both pointing forward, neutral pelvis. We should feel a nice stretch or opening into that hip flexor on the left. Awesome. Okay, let's come up into a warrior one. So careful here not to let that knee guide too far forward, keeping that pelvis neutral. And I want both your feet to be tracking forward here. Okay, arms up and over, that's for above average people. If you want to remain at an average position, keep those hands on your hip. We always give options here in Sip and Stretch. Okay, so here's average, above average is here. Now let's go into a warrior 2. So we're rotating that left leg out. Now that outside foot is parallel to the edge of the mat. And we're going to move forward, getting a nice stretch into that groin on the left. Awesome. Now let's bring that elbow onto the left knee, or on the inside, of the right knee. Reach that arm up and over. Looking under the armpit towards that ceiling. Good. Now let's come up into a triangle. So we're going to straighten that front leg. Arms are nice and straight. Looking up towards that ceiling. Don't worry, that hot beverage is near. Okay, bring that hand around. Nice hamstring stretch. Here's an ultimate multitask moment. Take a sip if you can. That might have been an above average move. All right, let that left knee come down. We're going to bring the right elbow across the body to the right knee. Wait, that was the left elbow. You know what I mean. Okay, now we're rotating. So getting a nice little stretch through the hip. Squeezing those hands together. Good. Awesome. Okay, come back into a bit of a high runner's lunge stretch, I think. I see it as an opportunity to have a sip of that beverage. Nice. And then let's bring that right leg back to meet the left. Coming into a downward dog. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So left leg up. Bring it through between the hands. Start with a psoas stretch. Nice opening through that front. Average, above average. You choose. for a little extra stretch to tighten that glute, and that will really open up through that psoas. Okay. Now let's come up into a warrior. So again, my warrior, I like to have the feet both pointing forward so that we can get a nice hip flexor stretch or open. Again, above average move here, arms up and over, and then let's rotate into warrior two. Okay, so I'm pulling my shoulder blades together, creating space between my shoulders and my earlobes. Really get a nice stretch into that right thigh, the back leg thigh, groin. I'm going to shift forward, letting that left elbow come to that left knee, inside ideally. And then I'm reaching up and over, getting nice space into the rib cage. Remembering to breathe, that's a tough one. Good, you can let that arm go down. Above average people can probably touch the ground. I am not one. Good. And then we're going to come into straightening that front leg. The classic triangle. Should feel a nice hamstring stretch through that front leg. Keeping those toes grounded. That beverage is close. I'm eyeing it right now. Okay. We're going to come down for a brief moment. Grab a little sip. And then, with that same sipping arm, reach that elbow across the body, onto the outside left knee, into a rotation movement. Good. Now, unlace those hands, bring that left knee back. Suddenly we find ourselves in a high plank position. Might as well do a little shoulder blade squeezes here. Getting the rib cage moving. Good. Okay, let's lower into a downward dog. So, this is below average, or just average actually. Above average is legs are off. So let's go with average here. Knees are connected to offload as you come into a down dog. Looking up, having a breath. Careful not to reach too far or extend back too far. Into a down dog. I should tell you, know your limit and stay within it. That's a safe code for this entire stretch practice. Do not push anything, especially when it's so early in the morning. Okay, here we are in down dog. Awesome. Let's bring that right leg up, and then let's bring it through towards the hands. Welcome to pigeon, everyone. Welcome to pigeon. So, neutral pelvis, above average is probably shin across. I'm in a bit of an average setting with a mid-range. Below average, you might need to grab some pillows and stuff to offload that hip. Either way, we're trying to get into those hip rotators. You can stay upright like this, albeit a little bit awkward. You can still grab your beverage. Now, here's the keyers. Above average move, threading the needle. You do not need to be above average. You decide. Good. The idea here, you want to hold this for a while because we want to try to get into that hip capsule. Reaching arms forward. Good. Okay, coming back to center. Let's drive the left toes up. We're coming into a nice down dog again. Now let's reach that left leg up. They even open up, I should mention that. Cross that knee over. And bring into pigeon for the left. Good. So again, I'm in an average position. I'm half range. Above average, my shin would be across. Below average, I might need to stuff some pillows underneath that hip. Whatever position you choose to feel that hip loosening up. So, prime position for a little coffee sip. If you're feeling it, bring those arms forward. If you're really feeling it, reach them through, threading the needle. shoulders away from earlobes, squeezing the shoulder blades to your spine, hips to the ceiling. Into a nice high plank. Lower down to down dog. Again, use your knees if you want to be safe, or if you want to be a little bit above average, bring them above. Into an upward dog, shoulder blades down. Curl those toes under. And then you can walk or jump, step or jump. Step, obviously average. Jump would be at above average. To your hands. And do a nice forward fold. Good. Working with the breath. Good. Bring those hands up towards your hips. You want to move as a hip hinge. So setting those hips back. And lifting up from your glutes into a nice standing position. Bring those arms up and over. Let's rock a little half moon. So bringing your feet together. Stretching on the side, getting a nice lat stretch. Good. And on the other side, lat. Awesome. Okay. From your standing pose, let's do a little open. I believe this is a 5-point situation, but let's go with a groin stretch. Nice wide stance. You can turn your toes in a bit to get the outside, the peroneal stretching. We're going to do a forward fold down towards the ground. You're going to feel this in the groin muscles. And put your hands on the ground. Some above average people would probably bring their heads down. I'm going to stay where I'm at. And then we can rock out to the side and get a really nice groin stretch all through there. You can bring your toes up or you can point them forward. Stretching different muscles within that. Good. And we'll bring her up to the other side. Nice. Never too far away from a little step. Coming back to center. Okay, place those hands on your hips. Drive from your hips forward, up. Bring those feet together. Bring your arms up. Bring those hands together into a nice old-fashioned namaste. Have a great day, everyone. Hopefully these stretches helped you get moving and get started. And remember, you're never too far away from a nice little sit.